Hey friends, welcome to the Town Hall Academy, episode 131. Hey, what is your future? Do you have it planned? What are you doing to ensure your success in the next 5, 10, or 15 years? If you do nothing, you get what you currently have, and that may not sustain you far into the future.
Bill was saying it's driving down price, but it's also there is no value to it, right? People know the price of everything, the value of nothing.
Welcome, automotive aftermarketers, to a Remarkable Results Radio Town Hall Academy. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results.
Hey friends, Carm Capriato, so glad to welcome you to Academy episode 131, and I want to thank my sponsor Jasper Engines for keeping the lights on for this very powerful asset to the aftermarket. You know, at Jasper Engines, performance and reliability is what their remanufactured diesel engines provide mile after mile. You know, Jasper's running completed engines are dynamometer tested with horsepower and torque ratings recorded. Talk about dependable service, jasperengines.com for more information. Hey, do you know that I'm on a crusade to get more aftermarket professionals turned on to this podcast treasure of wisdom? I know it will make a difference in their lives and business. And why do I say that? Well, because you tell me that in emails, texts, and via all social media direct messages that you love the podcast in so many ways. I'm also asked to recommend episodes for special networking meetings. And you also say that you're inspired by the transparent stories of the guests who've paid it forward. So could you do me a favor? Share this episode. Every subscription app has an option for that, you know. I'm confident that your friend will appreciate you for sharing. And if you see one of my social posts, share it in your network. And if you're an email subscriber, then forward that to a colleague in your network. You know, I'm all about rising ships, but it only happens when the opportunities are given. And I thank you so much. Hey, now welcome Kelli Weatherby, co-owner with husband Lee in Accurate Automotive in Mesa, Arizona, Bill Nalu, owner of Interstate Auto Care, Madison Heights, Michigan, and AJ Nealey from Nealey's Auto Service in Edgewater, Maryland. This diverse group has some similar yet some different strategies for their future. It's so refreshing to hear the dialogue and then compare their tactics to your current or long-term plans. We are in a dynamic industry that is in a heightened change curve. Now, you know that. Keeping up at all levels will bring you the spoils, though. And keeping your eye on your business with the future in sight is an important responsibility you have to your employees and your family. In this academy, we're talking about preparing your shop for the next 5 years. And we talk BHAGs, debt, branches, succession, training, refinancing, and SWOT, among others. AJ Nealey, Nealey's Auto Service, Edgewater, Maryland. Hey, AJ, nice to have you here. And Bill Nalu, owner of Interstate Auto Care, Madison Heights, Michigan. Well, look, guys, we're here to talk about the future. What are you going to do for the next 5 years and way and beyond? AJ, you have a great story. I love your story. Please listen to AJ Nealey's episode. Top of my mind, I forgot it, AJ. I'll look it up. And it's a fabulous story of being so young and having such a big operation and how he nailed it. And so the reason that I wanted to have AJ here is because he's a millennial. And if there's anyone that we should think about, you know, what's this young guy thinking about where the industry is going and where is his building going? I want you to talk about the fact that I know he's a BHAG guy.
That's right.
Big, hairy, audacious goals. If no one knows what that means, that's what it means. And you can't really have a vision for long term if you also didn't want to be aggressive, right, AJ?
Yeah, definitely. I guess you could say I've been kind of blessed with just always wanting to kind of look ahead 5, 10, 15 years down the road. You know, BHAG, Big Hairy Audacious Goal, is definitely something that comes up in Gino Wickman's book. And actually, I just read it for the second time. It was one of our homework assignments in our Bottom Line Impact group. But I've got it right here. So this book sets the framework for you to be able to set up a system to be able to look ahead, set those 1, 3, 5, 10, 15-year goals. And for us in particular, it's 10 shops in 15 years. It's big, it's hairy, it's audacious, and it's a goal. It's measurable. So 15 years from now, if we don't hit it, then we know we didn't get there. But yes, you've that you need to have that singularity, that single point in time in which that is the light in which you're striving for, because that's what gets you up every day and motivated to get to that point. So if you don't have that, who knows what direction you're going.
Okay. So 10 and 15, when's number 2?
Right now, for me, I have more immediate goals on debt reduction at this point. And I feel strongly that I can get very, very serious, I would say, by this time next year. So do you sit down with an accountant? Do you sit down with you looking in the mirror saying, okay, when I get my debt to here, it's time to make a move? Is that what you're kind of looking at? Yeah, it's a few different things. So if I know that that's the point in which I really want to be serious, I also need to know that I should start making the connections now and start letting, because the way in which we're going to expand is acquiring existing shops that are already making money. So and knowing that, now I need to take the steps to at least send out the feelers, send out those little letters to some of those shop owners that maybe aren't even actively looking to sell, but if you just present them with an opportunity, wow, this could be my way out. I need to start making those connections now, knowing that I would be serious and being able to come to the table to close a deal in about a year's time. So,
you know what I heard him say, Bill? I heard him say that he's going to pay a premium for a profitable business.
You know, it's an interesting thing when this podcast opportunity came up. So with regard to this, I thought, clearly I bring my 30 years in this industry into this, but how do you bring that kind of a time frame in without looking forward and backward? And so I guess if we're going to take a couple of minutes to do that, and we'll be discussing this over the next 45 minutes or so, there are regular things that, we plan on, financial things and growth things. And AJ's got this incredible, if you can pull this off, that's going to be amazing. And there's shop owners out there that are absolutely going to be headed in that direction. For me, I guess the best advice I can give somebody in 30 years of doing this, I'm probably too much of a micromanager, too much of a perfectionist, and that's why I've never been a multi-location owner. But at this point in time, I feel like I can start preparing to hand this business over to the people that have helped me bring it this far along, and do maybe a split shift, maybe do half at the shop and half at the shops, and half in the industry, because this industry has given me everything. It's given me everything that I have. My entire business philosophy, my entire way of looking at myself as an American, come through all of the things that I've learned along the way, all of the hardworking, amazing people that have sort of raised me in this industry, and I'm eternally grateful.
Bill, I want to put you on pause. Kelli Weatherby, co-owner with husband Lee in Accurate Automotive in Mesa, Arizona. Bill, wouldn't you have a struggle then in making these moves if you didn't have a good number 2 to support you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, isn't that the biggest challenge of thousands and thousands of shop owners that and have talked to? Who's going to take place? And some of us think, well, it's going to be the son or the daughter or nephew or whatever it is. And then other times it might be the technicians. But regardless of that, is letting go, being able to let go and allow things to not operate with you being in every single facet in the business. To me, I think it's personally my challenge because I'm such a control freak.
You won't give anybody a chance to make a online parallel decision with you?
And it's a perfect excuse because Carm, in order for us to remain 5-star worthy and to be the best shop in town, I've got to be this raging control freak that can't allow problems to occur, that can't allow people to solve their own problems. And we wonder why shop owners have trouble letting go. We wonder, like Jerry Kazaya says, how are you going to serve 2 masters? How are you going to do business from a creeper? You can't do it.
You'll never go on vacation, will you?
I'm bouncing around back and forth between confessional and between advice at this point.
You're all over the map, Bill.
Yeah. All over the map. But I'm learning. I can tell you this, Carm, and I've shared this before. The day that I paid off the building and I paid off the house, I felt like a ton of weight came off of my shoulders. I felt like I was worth 10 times my net worth, because now I've got money in the bank account and we can ride out, I don't know, 6 months. If we had to shut down for 6 months, I can ride it out. Mm-hmm. And coming to work, being that confident about our financial status means I don't have to I don't have to be as aggressive as I have to be. And I'm not frankly comfortable with the risk. I don't have that risk tolerance that I have at 54 that I might have had.
I wouldn't doubt that at the particular age that you're at, it's not going to be a few more years and you're going to have to change your whole way of thinking. But that we just do a timeout and put that, so park that. Kelli, Bill brings up exit strategy, 5 years and beyond. Are you guys thinking like that at all?
Yes, we we've been very fortunate. And first of all, I want to say kudos to Bill. That's a monumental thing that you have handled. So good for you.
Thanks.
But Lee and I have been very fortunate that we've had several of our employees been here for many years. Our service manager has been with us 20 years. He celebrated his 20 years with us, and he started out, I think, we are very fortunate. We were very blessed. His dad was our first mechanic, and so Eric came on as a young child. He was 15 and wanted to be, his dad wanted him to have something to do instead of getting into trouble. So he came on and, was ran parts and washed floors and did the stuff that he could to keep it busy. And as he grew and developed and he came into the office, and Lee taught him how to sell and be with customers. And we've been very fortunate that he's been an excellent student. And so we have that in place. And he is, in January, he and Josh, who is our lead tech shop foreman, they've decided they're going to be our team, our exit strategy and our succession plan. And with that, I think, Eric doesn't have all the skill set that we were thinking he was going to need, and thinking we were going to be a long ways out while he was learning along the way. But Josh has some of those skills, and the team, just like Lee and I are a team and we've built it as a team, they will continue on as a team. So it's been phenomenal to see them since January in our, kickoff meetings and our interviews to indicate that was what their wishes were. So we're very blessed.
Okay. So part of your 5-year and beyond, actually shorter term than that, is an exit strategy. And boy, we've covered that a lot on the podcast, but I don't want to go into it in too details, because we're really just trying to serve up a bunch of great little tacks on what, you three are doing for the future. AJ, when you look at technology and the changing vehicle that's out there, do you have any plans on how to assimilate that?
Yeah. One of the strategies that every shop owner needs to be doing is a SWOT analysis, right? Figure out your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, threats. So right now, yes, I would say that there's a lot of things going on in this industry. It's evolving at such a rapid rate, and if you're not one step ahead, you're going to lose that edge. And I think for the small percentage of people that tune into this show, I would say for the majority of those that are tuning in, that means they're plugged into the industry. So I think those are the shops that are going to be in great hands, because we know what's coming up. The hybrid and electric vehicle technology, the self-driving cars that may come in the next decade, telematics. There's a lot that's going on. But yeah, so as far as us in our situation, I sent one of my lead technicians up to Massachusetts to ACDC for the up your voltage class. It's a week long. It's super intense. It's all hands on. You do 40 hours of training before you even get there, that's the investment we needed to make to be able to, again, continue that edge and be that resident expert, especially in our area, to inform and educate our local community that you don't have to go to the dealership to get these vehicles worked on, and we're going to have more experience to be able to do that from now into the future. A
lot of talk about calibrating ADAS. Does that ever hit your fancy at all?
Yeah, so that's also there as well. We actually upgraded our alignment machine so we can actually start to kind of delve into that. There's actually some attachments that we've gotten for certain vehicles that currently have ADAS built into it, radar that needs to be calibrated, things of that sort. So we are starting to kind of take some baby steps into that. Correct.
Good for you. Bill, at your age, as you said earlier, you working on hybrids? You're going to take a look at calibration or not?
We've gotten a few of them coming in, but interestingly enough, it seems like they haven't come in sort of, you know how you buy an AC machine, they tell you there's going to be 100 vehicles coming in. They're not coming in to the level, and perhaps it's partly because of the fact that our mix, we've got a fleet mix of about 50% and a regular customer mix of about 50%. So we still do enough medium duty and truck work to where we can sort of buck that trend. But
Bill, let me stop you. AJ, did you have to do some marketing now that you have a new talent inside?
Oh yeah. You got to get on the mountaintop and scream it. So yeah, we implemented a direct mail campaign specifically targeting hybrid and electric vehicle owners. We did not send anything to Tesla owners because there really isn't much, unfortunately, we can do with them at this time. But yeah, I mean, so I'm going to do this on it can't just be one and done. You can't just throw out something and expect it to just stick. So quarterly is my plan to be able to continue to target these customers and let them know that, hey, we're here and we're ready for you.
Thank you, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Bill, but the thing I think about is that, we do a lot of things internally in our company, but we never tell the world about it. We just think that just because we're here in osmosis, it's going to come in for us. Kelli, Bill said something a little earlier about, paying off. When you think about 5 years and beyond, is trying to manage debt or financing important?
I mean, it's right at the top of the list for sure, because if, we have great people in place to have a succession plan, but if we haven't set up our financial situation or picture properly, what good is that going to do, right? They're not going to have success if we haven't given them all the tools. So I think in my talking points, I was, speaking of how we just recently finished our refinance on the building, which gets us, down the road 10 years. We have done some things and purchased some equipment and put some things into place so that we can do that. Napa, we are a Napa Auto Care Center, and we have been speaking with them about putting a facelift on our building. And because they say, even if you put a new sign, it's amazing how many people will attract to a new sign. It's just new something, a visual new something that attracts the vision. So we do have that at the top of our list. So right about, we have our people established. Now we're working on our financial situation. And I think it's right there. Should be right at the top of the list. Yes.
If your customer has a vehicle they like, they shouldn't have to get rid of it because the engine, transmission, or differential failed. Because you and your customer know the vehicle maintenance, there's no reason they can't keep it on the road. Depreciation, license, insurance, interest, add them all up and they'll probably total more than it would cost to install a remanufactured product from Jasper Engines and Transmissions. Personal finances only go so far. Daily living expenses, college for the kids, and, as we all hope, retirement. So before your customer rushes out to buy a new or a newer used vehicle because their engine or transmission has failed, contact Jasper and find out how a remanufactured product from Jasper Engines and Transmissions can extend the life of your customer's present vehicle for an amount much less than the higher expenses that come with a vehicle trade. Give their vehicle a new lease on life with Jasper. You had another talking point that I found so interesting. I'm not even sure how to start the dialogue on it, Kelli.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and it was about staying current with your obligations to the government.
Yes. I know that Lee and I in the past have had slipped behind and have had payment plans with the government, both the state and the feds. And in talking with lots of different auto shop owners in, Lee and I are part of ATI. So at super conferences and different times when we're back in Baltimore with ATI, when you're in confidences, they will tell you things that like these. And I'm like, wow, I'm not alone. That's nice to know that I'm not in the boat alone. Fortunately, we are, doing great. but I'm just saying it should be part of the dialogue and not really like a hidden, shameful secret that it's very easy to do. Your 941s, they're due. I mean, if you're a larger shop, they're due every week, right? And every week can really pile up if you're not watching your situation.
Why does this happen? And I'm not placing blame at all. I think so many of us start out, we're great with our hands, good skill, love to repair vehicles, and we become a business owner, and we forget the total obligations that we have.
That's right.
Thank you for bringing this up, because I don't think you can have the growth, and I don't think you can think beyond 5 years and longer if you get if the government becomes your partner in a bigger way, and that is that you get a letter every week. And they say,
not only a letter, I mean, it can be devastating, because then, no financial institution is going to look at you in a good light. They're going to be like, whoa, why would I want to get into a situation where I'm going to loan you money if you're not going to be able to pay it back? That's why I think it needs to be a little bit more of a conversation with people as to how strategically you can be in front of that, right? Instead of just letting it happen to you. How can we strategically stay in front of that every week? Do you have a payroll service? Lee and I have gone to a payroll service, and just, certain situations, you have a separate bank account. Profit First has kind of been a very popular book to read recently, and it does recommend that you put up and set up several accounts, not just one operating account. And one of those accounts can very well be your tax account, or, other obligations that you might have. I mean, some states don't have sales tax. Good for you.
In Michigan, what was great is I sent the IRS a letter. I said, I now self-identify as a religious organization, so I don't have to pay federal taxes anymore. It's wonderful. That's how I paid off the building. But no, seriously.
Wait a minute, everyone. Whoa.
Hold the phone.
You heard it here.
Yeah, heard it here first.
Yeah.
I'm glad my picture's not up there, Bill, right now.
Yeah. The man who brought me into this world gave me the best advice I had ever gotten. He said, and he says, I'll give you my life. He said, but there's one thing I can never give you, and that is my credit. That is something you have to earn on your own.
That's
and
right.
To this day, all these years later, I physically cannot stomach an invoice or a bill sitting here. I'm chasing people to pay them. If it's a credit card, I'm calling them up, and they always sort of laugh. It's like, okay, Bill, it's first of the month. And it's because what's great about that is at the end of all that stuff, at least I know everything's been paid off and I don't have to owe anybody anything. And it's just a wonderful feeling. I don't know why we torture ourselves and start playing games with, and I understand sometimes finances are difficult, but if we only live within our means, what is it that Dave Ramsey says? Just act your wage. If we just act our wage, that's 90% of the work right there.
Yeah. So important. Thank you all for bringing this up. I don't think growth is in future growth. Selling succession is in anybody's wheelhouse. If you're saddled with debt and you never want to pick up the phone because someone's going to be on there saying, "Hi, it's me, and you owe me." Who wants that stress? I don't think we could think about the future 5 years, 10 years down the road. I don't think you could make a vision for your company and or your team if it didn't include training of some sorts. And let me say this. We talk about training so much on the podcast. I think people just say, who wants to listen to another thing on training? But I don't think we put out stuff that's the same old, same old. I think we're constantly driving a point or a theme or a concept or an idea or something new that's going on. And if it's leadership training and if it's not technician training, let's talk about that and where it fits into each of your strategies for the future. AJ, let me start with you.
Yeah, well, like I talked about before, as far as just getting ahead of the curve on the electrification of the industry, you made a really good point. Benjamin Franklin said that if you empty your purse into your head, nobody can take it away from you. So I make sure that I'm continuously training myself to be a better leader, better with finances. I mean, just better across the board. I'm trying to become a growth junkie. So that is paramount. I mean, because that just trickles down to everyone else, and that helps with the culture and everything of that. I mean, one of our core values is grow or die, right? And I only want to be surrounded by people that have that same mentality. whether it's career and personal. I want to see growth in every aspect of everyone's lives. So, and again, back to our core purpose, helping people and inspiring values. So, if that's at the top and that trickles down, then everyone's going to have that same mentality. If they align with our core values, everyone's going to have that same mentality to want to better themselves professionally and personally as well. So my advisors up front, making sure that they get trained on how to sell a lot of these electrification services, right? What good is it if you've trained the technician and I got the phone to ring with a mailing campaign, but my advisors don't know what they're talking about. So it all has to work. It all has to be trained. So right on down the line, everyone, it's a requirement for training, and it's a culture of training. And so that if you want that edge and to be the resident expert, it's a must. You got to do it.
Kelli, can we survive without training in our businesses today?
I don't think so. I'm with AJ in the fact that he brought up SWOT, and we went ahead and this year in January on our kickoff, we put together a SWOT analysis on each one of our employees, and then had a conversation with them and let them have an input on how they felt about what we had set aside as how we saw the situation, and let them have an input. And then part of that was what they saw in their growth. How can they grow, right? What things that they wanted to learn about. And I think that AJ's spot on in the fact that how can you be a good leader if you're not constantly learning and growing? So when your team sees you going to classes and they see you reading books and they see you implementing those things that you're learning and growing in, and set yourself apart as a great leader, and then help, like you say, it rolls downhill. Then you help your people learn what you have learned and help them grow where they want to grow, not where you wanted to grow. I think that was the biggest thing that we found out of the SWOT analysis was where do they want to grow? We feel like we have a culture in our shop of, family, and we open we feel like we have an open door. I hope our team feels that way too. That's the culture that we've tried to put together. Our theme has always been friends serving friends, and that's just kind of how friends and family. That's who we're serving, right? We're in business to build relationships with friends and family. So learning and growing and educating and all that is got to be right up there in the top, 4 or 5 important things to help your business grow, for sure, because you're not going to be able to do it yourself. Bill, you can't do it yourself, hon.
Yeah.
You have a team, right? You have employees, and you need to, help them reach their potential, because you've got phenomenal potential. Like, you have these skills and these things that you could be teaching and helping them grow if that's what they want to do, right? So, like Carm said, in the next 5 years, you're going to have to change your thought process, unless you're just planning on being there until you're not here on Earth anymore. Yeah. And
that's not an option.
That doesn't sound fun to anybody.
No. I'll never make it there. I'm going to have a wife that's going to choke me to death.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. She's giving me 6 months probably.
As she should.
Yeah. For me, it's interesting how you walk into a place of business and immediately you can sense the owner's personality coming through it. So our personality here, I'm proud to say, all of our technicians have been with us for over 12 years now. Casey, who's one of my technicians, has been with me since he was 18 years old. It's been 20 years. And so we don't have problems with technicians and turnover with it. What we have is a situation where we've worked way more hours than necessary. And it's taken on my personality, and that is that everything that I do, the fact that I'm an immigrant and that we came to America, and that everything that comes through this immigrant's head is valued through how hard you work. That every single day that you wake up is a declaration, an acknowledgement of how lucky you are to be an American today. And that's, I'm not just, that this is something deep inside my psyche. And it's easy to say, well, change it. So work a little bit less. How do you change somebody's personality when it's ingrained to that level? And so I guess to answer that would be, is it's just a step by step. Every day you do a little bit. It's one of those things where, and I'll just give you just a quick example, not to pat myself on the back of this, but this is an example of this here. So Out of Value has a cruise that they're sending folks on, and many owners go on this thing. So this year I decided, you know what, for the 10-year plus anniversary, I'm going to send my A-Tech and my B-Tech and their families on this cruise. And
Nice.
and while that might seem like a wonderful thing, it's peanuts considering the fact that these guys have had 10 years. We've been on 5.5, 6-day work weeks for 10 years now. So this is way overdue. Way over. There's a part of me that says, what the hell what is taking you so long? Right? And so these are the kinds of things. The other example I would give you is I'm planning on buying a little cottage, just a little thing maybe an hour away from here. I want to put a couple of jet skis in it. I want to throw a little pontoon boat in there. Just something. It doesn't have to be super expensive. And saying this is the shop's cottage. Anybody who wants to take it this weekend, who wants to take it this particular weekend, and it would be part of the compensation package. What does Seth Sorsen say? We're going to need to be about $100,000 a year for average America. Forget about San Francisco. Forget about New York. This is average flyover country America. We better be paying these folks $100,000 a year total compensation package. And if we're not prepared to do that, we better be prepared to lose them. We are going to lose them.
Thank you for that, Bill. I think you bring up a lot of great points, and I think it does stay with the theme of what we're talking about here. How are you going to survive, and where are you going 5 years and beyond? And I think a compensation package and program and how things are paid and what we do for our people is something we absolutely cannot ignore. Kelli, I love what you did by saying that she did a SWOT, a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats on her people. And, in big corporate America, that goes on. Everyone's assessed. And are we going to invest in them? Are they growing with us? How do we see them as future leaders in our company? And there's a million kinds of tests to give, but I think a SWOT is perfect on an individual. And if you were creating a 5-year, 10-year plan for your business, you can't do it, like AJ says, without knowing what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. Now, we did a Town Hall Academy just like this on SWOT. And it's Town Hall Academy 040, number 40. We're at 131. So that was, I think it was 2 years ago that we may have already done this. What I think I'm going to do is recycle that and get this out in social media and let people take a listen to it. It was a fabulous, fabulous Town Hall Academy, and it really served up the reasons and why this should be done. So thank you for bringing that up.
Carm, before we go away from that, I just want to be very, I just had one thing more to add to that, because what happened on that was that Lee and I actually did an analysis on each other. And that was super interesting because we are business partners. We're married, beautifully married for 34 years, but, we're business partners. And so if we're not growing and going in the right direction, and it was very honest and very, very, it was a little hard to swallow. I'm not gonna lie. It was hard to have that one-on-one with Lee and I'm sure him with me. So if you're going to do those individual analysis, do it with the owners as well.
Strengths Finders 2.0. It's a book you need to buy. It's on my books page on the website, so I've got to stop for a moment and explain that if you take Strengths Finders 2.0, it's 34 pages. That's all you have to read in this book, and then you uncover the certificate at the end. You go online and you take a series of questions, and within a minute or two, you get yourself your top 5 strengths, and you could pay more if you want for the rest of the 30. But I took it probably 5 years ago now, and I looked at that and I said, no, that's not me. That's not me.
You didn't want it to be you.
That's right, Kelli. She nailed me. I didn't want it to be me, because in the current job that I had in corporate America, I didn't think, that my supervisor was going to say, I wanted a guy like that working for him. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be who that person, I thought that person wanted me to be. Well, when I started to do podcasting, I took the report out again and I took a look at it and I said, damn. It's who I am. I nailed it. This is what I need to be doing in my world. Every strength lends itself to what I'm currently doing. So the really beauty of knowing more about you, Kelli, that you just described, as transparently as you can get it up and out, helps you be so successful. And it's the story, Bill. If you love what you do, finish the quote. You never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Hey, and AJ, have you also you seem to be with the big hairy audacious goal guy. Are you also a rocket fuel guy, and have you decided whether you're an integrator or a
visionary? Yeah, I am honestly that self-assessment. I haven't read Rocket Fuel yet, but
it's a must.
They do speak to that in Traction, and no, I'm definitely the visionary guy, and my integrator, if again looking ahead, that's kind of on my list is to find that individual to complement myself, because I'm also in the middle of putting together that accountability chart, the org board, things of that sort to figure out who to put the right people in the right seats, right? So I'm using all the terminology and the lingo from the book. So, but yeah, so no, I'm more of the visionary, head in the clouds.
That's not it.
Going on walkabouts,
No surprise there.
Finding myself,
Not only am I not the integrator, I'm the disintegrator. That's how much of a visionary.
There you go. Well, your job then is to find one or two of those integrators, huh, Bill?
Absolutely.
Right. Empower them. Let them take over.
Yeah.
That's it.
Get out of the way, Bill.
Yep.
Hey, I'm totally on board with you though with the control factor. And I think that's what makes good leaders is to have a bit of control freak situation. It's just, it is hard to give up that, it's hard to put the rope out there and to help somebody up.
How perfect it is to see, AJ, young man, 5 to 10 year, 15-year plan of growth, Kelli looking for succession and transition, and Bill saying, I'm stuck in neutral because I'm a control freak. I don't think we could have three better, diametrically opposed people on this talking about the future and where am I going, and each of you describing your strengths and how it works into your plans. This is a bonus. I never even thought I'm going to have to send each of you a check for this. I'm sure of it. Thank you. And thank you for Kelli Weatherby, even though we have camera problem, being with us. Bill Nalu is with us, and AJ Nealey. A couple of things. Profit First book was mentioned. By the way, every time we mention a book, either it's on my books page on the website or we'll add it. Traction's a great book, AJ. I totally agree with you. We'll put Rocket Fuel up this week. And we were talking about Profit First. It's a book that's out there. Probably within 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to do a Town Hall Academy on Profit First by bringing Chris Cotton, who is a certified Profit First coach, and he's also a business coach in the industry, and 2 or 3, and I can't remember who's all coming on board to talk about how they've integrated Profit First into their company. And Kelli, I could actually maybe add you to the list here too. I'm not sure who's all confirmed to be on that show, but I think it's important to know that so many people are talking about the value of Profit First and Mike Michalowicz. Okay, continuing the thought of the future, and let's talk about systems and integrations and how that's going to help our business. Digital vehicle inspections, is this going to be something that's going to grow and be critical, or is this going to be something that's just a passing fad?
It's never going away.
Never going away. No, that's not a fad at all.
I may have known the answer to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
why would you?
Yeah, this adds that level of transparency. This is everything that consumers hate about auto repair is taking the guy's word for it over a phone, right?
That's right.
That digital inspection, when it's sent in a mobile friendly format, it's emailed to the customer. They can see it while they're at work. They see the photos, the great descriptions. It's doing the selling.
Yes.
Those photos themselves, there's nothing that can compete with that. I've never had a customer that says that they didn't like it, right? So no, it is a sales tool. It adds that level of transparency with your customers. It continues to create that relationship with the customers. That by far is not going away.
So one of my things that I brag on all the time, in my case, I've been a bolt-on guy for all these years, but there are other providers of integration out there. Digital inspections were sort of the first generation. The second generation of integration is how do we get paid for some of this stuff? And one of my biggest things that I brag about all the time to other shop owners and say, how in the heck are we still taking credit cards over the phone? And without making this into a 10-minute talk, it basically involves being able to text or email that customer the information and having them pay for it. What does that do to your chargebacks? It eliminates them because we never touched the card. We never had to look at the card. And so why on earth would we ask the customer to race down here at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock in the afternoon just before we close, and we're sitting there, we're waiting. Meanwhile, they could be picking up their vehicle, having paid for their invoice. They have a copy of the invoice. They pick up their vehicle and sitting in a lockbox with their invoice and maybe a small gift to say thank you for allowing us to serve you today. What I've always asked shop owners is, we say we care about the customer's vehicle. Clearly, we care about their safety. How in the hell do we allow ourselves to take a credit card over the phone or online? These are all non-PCI compliant methods that we do. How do we not care about the customer's identity to the same extent that we care about their vehicle safety? Their identity is much more hard to replace than their vehicle is. And so this is a level we talk about integration. To me, that integration it's just as important as more important as the digital vehicle inspection. I mean, they're connected. And so to the extent that we continue to integrate more and more, our ability to be able to come, maybe at some point in time, we'll be able to have a video conference with a customer. They're on the side of the road, vehicle's making a funny noise. I don't know if I can get it there, and you're 3 miles away. Video chat, bill at Interstate Auto Care, and we can look at it and we can determine whether he should be able to drive it or whether we should be able to tow it in. That puts us ahead of the line immediately, ahead of the other 50 people.
I'll bet you somebody's working on that.
I just wanted to go back to, if I could just for a second, Bill, have you give me a picture in my mind. So you have a lockbox in the front of your shop, say with a little areas that you can put their key in their ticket and the little thank you for coming in snack or something. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a cell phone locker box. I mean,
I love this.
And so what happens is a customer basically pays for the invoice. We text them the invoice. They can either get it by email or by text message. They pay for it online. And so we never have to worry about any chargebacks as far as that's concerned. So we never had to worry about a credit card number, or if the customer's card gets stolen, or if the card information somehow gets compromised, they know full and well that we would not have be part of that. I mean, years ago, I almost lost a customer that was 20 years my customer because they thought that we had somehow sold their information. And he ended up finding out it was through the bank or whatever it might be. But to be able to say to the customer that we care about your identity to the same level that we care about your vehicle differentiates us. Is it 1%? Is it 99%? You have to decide how important that is to you. But that level of integration, to be able to say to that customer, we're ahead of the curve in this regard. We care about this. We care about your identity and our reputation. That means something to that customer, especially if it's a first-time customer, because they look at this and say, wow, you guys are really ahead of this thing here.
Okay. Anybody have a follow-up to that with Bill?
Well, we actually just integrated it on our website. So you can go to nealeyauto.com/payment. So it integrated with our current credit card processor. We can text the link to the customers, with a dollar amount, they can go on there, they can go on their phone, they can go on their desktop, and they can pay for their invoice right through there. Because same thing, as far as reducing chargebacks, it was a topic that had kind of come up on one of our bottom line impact group meetings. But now it's just trying to break the habit from the service advisors to stop taking the credit card number over the phone and get them to pay through that means. So that's it's an evolution, but next step.
Well, I love this conversation. Thank you for bringing it up, Bill, because it does give you that next level of caring about your customer. Because, I mean, I don't know which one in our town, they have exposés on the news more. identity theft or rip off, auto mechanics. So, I mean, the digital inspection certainly takes care of that, like AJ touched on. And then this other credit card identity thief situation could be really curbed, and then that you could market it as you're looking out for your customer and caring for them even more than you did before. Yeah. So that's really, thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, anytime. And the thing is, Kelly, is, we call ourselves professional. How professional is it to either us suggest to the customer or the customer convinces us to leave their keys under their floor mat and with the door open? Yeah, I'll pick it up at 7:00 tonight. You don't think criminals are driving around town making sure if there's vehicles out there that are open? Oh, and by the way, there's a key under this floor mat and I'm just going to drive away with it. Try having that. Imagine calling our insurance agent and explaining to them that we actually did that.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to fly. I don't know that they, I'm saying that we've been guilty of the same exact thing.
We all are. We all are.
If it's the tailpipe or on the top of the tire or under the car, the floor mat, it's all the same situation, right? Yeah. And calling your insurance company and saying the car was left undone, you left the keys inside, and by the way, it ran perfectly. And, the only thing more you could do is give them a full tank of gas and have yourself a ball, right?
I think if we don't talk about this next subject that I'm going to breach to you all, this would not be a show about tomorrow, the future, where are we going? Consolidation and the competition of consolidation and what it means. And I think we have to think about what's going on in the distribution side of consolidation. We have to really think about the regional chain, the big dogs that are buying the regionals are buying the smaller guys, maybe where you fit in, how you see industry consolidation possibly affecting you. Let's spend about 2 or 3 minutes each. Give me your view and opinions of how you see it and how you think it may affect your future.
You don't have to be an industry analyst to see big companies buying out bigger companies or vice versa. That level of merging and consolidation, I think, is going to continue on. We've got the giant Amazon gorilla that's going to be snapping up all kinds of companies that they think can take them further. It seems to me that that's a bad idea for us as an industry, possibly. But I could also be a fan of it if we just do this one thing. And if there's somebody out there that's listening, somebody in a position to be buying out the next big company, why do you feel like somehow you're going to buy the next company so that we can drive prices down, so that your cost of goods are going to drop, rather than offering a higher level, an opportunity to offer that consumer a higher grade? So a quick example would be if an Amazon were to buy a giant distributorship, and now they're going to be the biggest distributor of automotive parts in the aftermarket. Why is it that they've got to automatically start chasing prices down and try to, I don't know, maybe fight out this thing here by driving the price of that product down, making that brake job even less expensive than what they were making it, rather than...
But Bill, let's think about someone who has 10,000 bays and they want to have 20,000 bays, and you may have an opportunity to sell, or you have to learn how to compete. I mean, that's where I'm going with this.
And so I guess, so here's in defense of what I'm trying to say is, if we're going to try to outsell by virtue of making that job cheaper and basically compete on price, why not just add value to the proposition? So if you've got 20,000 locations or 20 locations, why not add to your warranty? Why not add things to that? Add something to the offering, rather than try to outprice everybody else because all that ends up doing is hurting the entire industry. And that seems to me that that's just the general way. That's just the general mode of operandi for any industry out there. And it astounds me. I'm just a small business owner. Who am I? I don't have a master's degree or a PhD in that industry. But why is it that they think that they need to go in that direction? And so I urge them to offer more at the same price, rather than try to beat up the competition and try to drive them out. Because driving them out doesn't solve your problem if the message is constantly, this is how you can save money by price, rather than add value to that. Does that make sense?
it makes sense because you're preaching to someone to say, put value ahead of price, let the whole industry survive. Why don't you make more money? Why are we chasing to the bottom? And, again, you describe the one and dones, and I think that's what we call them in our industry, that they really care about the next brake job, the next oil change. They're not sure they're caring about the next customer. And, they've got to do X amount per day, X amount of volume per day, and it doesn't matter how they do it or get it because they got to send money upstairs. So that's my little rant. AJ, I'm going to give you the last word on this one.
Yeah. So honestly, at the end of the day, consolidation does not scare me, does not bother me at all. It's Nealey Auto Service, and it's service for a reason. We're here to serve our customers. Consolidation, all it's going to do is increase market share for a lot of these big corporations. It's going to reduce. They're looking for every opportunity to reduce costs anywhere they can find it, labor, parts, everything. At the end of the day, like Bill was saying, it's driving down price, but it's also, there is no value to it, right? People know the price of everything, the value of nothing. So at the end of the day, we know our unique selling points. We know the culture that we have established. We are here on a daily basis to establish relationships with our customers, to get them to keep coming back. And you're right, the one and dones is huge for them. They're heavy on marketing to just drive customers to come in with the next big thing and commodity driven items and things of that sort. But that is not a worry for us. We have a way of differentiating ourselves from the Mr. Tires and the Goodyears and the Firestones. They have their own business model, and good for them. But we have our own, and we understand that we can hold our ground and stand for what we believe in. And our customers appreciate that level of service, right? At the end of the day, is what we're looking for. So every industry is going through this. Like best man at my wedding, he's an optician and owns a glasses store, and there's consolidation in that industry as well. There's big corporations that make the lenses, that sell you the insurance, that have the doctors. It's a full circle. And so yes, there are some companies out there that trying to do the same thing in the automotive world: sell you the part, install the part, have the car. So Lyft and Uber being the biggest customer with a certain brand of vehicles, working on those vehicles in their bays with their parts. So they're trying to establish a full circle. At the end of the day, people are going to look and want a difference, and that's what we're here for. And I am not at all afraid of consolidation going into the future.
Very well said. I think if I only had one thing to add to that, it is just that I've heard Lee tell a million customers that we build relationships, and by the way, we fix cars. We're here to have you learn and grow with us, be our customer, let us know about you and about your families, and the relationship building is really, I'm right there with you, AJ. Thank you for that point.
Thank you. Kelli, I was supposed to give you a kiss from Bruce Nation.
Oh, well, we share a birthday. We just had our birthdays. Lee and Bruce are attending succession class at ATI this week.
I know. Yeah. He texted me and told me when he saw you were going to be on. Glad to hear it. Hey, I want to make a comment on something AJ just said, and I think that may be our biggest, if you will, marquee quote coming out of here. The price of everything and the value of nothing. Think about that, and think about that strategy from a service advisor on the counter. If they believe in that creed, they're going to do everything that they can, knowing that that customer wants a price. The only thing they know what to ask for is price. The research that they've done is on price. They just don't have any idea what their money can buy. Hey, this was great. We went to a million different places, and I love it. That's kind of sometimes always the value of the Town Hall Academy. Kelli Weatherby, co-owner with husband Lee in Accurate Automotive in Mesa, California. Bill Nalu, Interstate Auto Care, Madison Heights, Michigan. And AJ Nealey, Nealey Auto Service, Edgewater, Maryland. Thanks for being here, guys and lady.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.